for giving us the opportunity to present to you today, because the relationship with Nuvola is relatively early stage, and when they told me it was at Bletchley Park, I wasn't sure a German telecoms manufacturer was going to be entirely welcome. There's a history. I was told not to bring any devices into the building, so yeah, it's nice to be here. Now, I've worked for SNOM for a couple of years, but prior to that I was 20 odd years in the actual direct selling, so it was me that was sort of crawling around under desks looking for cabling and things, so I know what it's like to be sat in front of customers and have to try to sell these solutions. A lot of you might not know too much about SNOM as a business. A bit of a best kept secret sometimes when it comes to the UK. Very strong elsewhere in Europe. Recently we were voted one of the highly trusted companies in Germany, which, you know the Germans, it's not an easy accolade to get. Predominantly, where we started was in the open endpoint marketplace, but some sort of key milestones for us. We've always been the engineer's favourite. We've always been sort of associated with a quality device. So, exceptional audio and sound quality, universally compatible, almost. Teams is still a challenge for us. We've worked a lot with Microsoft in the past, but that is one of those sort of key parts that we're trying to get resolved. All of our products are sort of in-house developed, more than 10 million endpoints around the world. And I think it was 8 years ago now, we were acquired by VTech. So if you know VTech, if you've got young children, it's the plastic toys that make all the noise. What that gave us was access to their manufacturing. So when a lot of people were struggling when it came to components and manufacturing time, all of that is in-house. So we're not going to suddenly get bumped when it comes to manufacturing like a lot of our competitors. So we have a reliable supply chain. German engineering, we always talk about this bit. Berlin based. All of our software and development is done there. All of our product design. We have an in-house audio lab that a Serbian chap called Dujan built sort of 10 years or so ago. We've recently moved head office, and I can only imagine how difficult it was to move all of that from the old office to the new one, because it is absolutely astounding as that room. Very keen on energy saving products. I expect this to come over the next sort of 12 months, but VTech, they now have a handset that is made entirely out of, the casing entirely out of recycled plastic bottles. So VTech as a business are very keen on the environmental impact. All of our phones now have antibacterial plastics. Industry-wise, we've got one of the lowest RMA rates in the industry, and almost every device comes with a 3-year warranty. So as a product range, try to keep it simple. There are more in there that I'll go through, but we have a D8 series range, which is the most recent, D7 series, which most people are familiar with, and then we have the D3 series, which I always find really peculiar, but are really popular in sort of Germany and France, and the reason being because they're very sort of flat sort of styling. They slide under monitors, and apparently that's why they're really popular in other countries. I don't get it, they don't pop. DECT has always been really strong. It's now sort of almost 50% of our business in the UK. Everything from single cell to multi-cell. The M900 multi-cell solution is award-winning. It can expand up to 4,000 base stations and 16,000 registered handsets on there. Easy management, easy deployment. We then have the handset range, and it's from the single cell, cheap and cheerful stuff if you like, right through to the M90, which is the white one at the end, which you can probably just make out. And that one is a completely sealed unit, so you can wash that one in bleach and to get it clean. So it's very popular in healthcare. We also have, which if it's very specific to certain industries, I think called a beacon locator, which is a small disc which you can use alongside M900 base stations. It's used for asset tracking. So in hospitals, various places where you want to be able to locate all of these things, it can be very useful. There is actually a big charity in Belgium that use it. They use them as like the like little lanyard things. It's for a massive sort of care hub for people with impaired vision, so they can actually track people as they wander around the building. It's a unique sort of product for us, but in the right use case can be very powerful. And then headsets, conference, that's your location gateway. We also do a device called a PA1 Plus. It's the guts of a SIP handset, but what it does is it gives you audio inputs and outputs. So when you go into site and you're deploying a new solution and suddenly somebody says, oh, what about that tannoy that we've got? This is the device that you then use to connect the tannoy to your hosted solution. It's a great device to actually have, in the back of the van, because it reduces the need to go back and then back to site after you've done the installation. So that's quite I think there's only one other sort of vendor that does a device that's similar to that. The conference solutions, we're about to release the C620. That'll be out at the end of this month. That is a DEX conference unit. So you've got your base station, drop your conference unit on there to charge it, but then it's using DECT, so you can then take it around the building, which, modern offices now, we're looking at more sort of ad hoc meeting room spaces, so it can be quite useful for that. And then the C300 at the end is a USB Bluetooth personal conference phone, which I sort of take everywhere with me because it's a nice little unit. So other reasons to consider SNOM, because I know that a lot of you are not familiar with us. We have a UK-based team. There's myself and my colleague Paul, and we're available for meetings, events like this, in order to support people with, we sort of pride ourselves on the local knowledge. We have stable pricing. We've obviously seen a lot of fluctuation over the last few years with the dollar. Everything is bought in euros, which as a currency is just much more stable. We're always available when it comes to price support. We have a facility so you can sort of log things officially through the partner portal. Most of my resellers just give us a ring. We go through the opportunity, we talk about what sort of pricing we need to get to, and it's a quick decision because it's basically an email from me to my sales director, and it's approved usually within sort of 2 or 3 hours. We have the option to brand our handsets. There's a faceplate on there where it says SNOM. We can brand those devices with your logo, with your customer's logo, your reseller's logo. The MOQ on that is 50 units. So long as you've got more than 50 units, you can brand those free of charge. It doesn't even have to be all the same handset. So it can be everything from the basic handset right through to the reception consoles. And we can brand those for you, and the turnaround on that is about a month. I mentioned the partner program. We support customers a lot through that. By registering, you can request a free device for testing. So if you'd like the details for that, I can give you those later on. Alternatively, you can just go to snom.com and register via that. So new products. Like I said, I spent a long time actually selling these devices, and as we approach the ICN switch off, it's how do you deliver a solution that will help those last few resellers, those last few customers over the line, if you like. One of the devices that I'm sort of quite excited about, because this would have solved a lot of my headaches when I was selling, is the SNOM M500. So that's your base station. You can have 2 base stations, and it will support up to 16 devices. The difference for us is that there's actually a desk phone. So you can deploy up to 16 desk phones without the need for everyone to get PoE. It just comes with a PSU. So as long as you've got power, you can deploy it. One of the sort of things that was always a pain was when a customer said, I need to move somebody from that desk to that desk, and you have to get somebody out, run some new cable. With this, as long as they've got power, they can pick up the phone and move it. There is a DECT phone, so you've got the M55. Quite unique for us. It's got a DLF function on it. So one of the problems that you used to have with, especially single cell, was the ability to see if somebody was on the phone and transfer a call. We now have programmable keys on that, so you can get monitor extensions. So 33% of businesses are still on ISDN. I see this as being, like I say, a solution that works really well for small retail, restaurants, small offices, because one of the problems that I always found when it comes, to actually selling these solutions was a big chunk of the cost was the infrastructure, and it put a lot of people off. I think a lot of people have been putting it off until the last minute. Hopefully this will then give our resellers the opportunity to, sell a more simple solution that they can deal with without having to get people involved to do cabling, or their IT company, which, if ever you've sold against an IT company, as a telecoms company, it's a very easy win for the IT company. You do all of the selling, you convince them that they need to go down the hosted route. The minute they speak to their IT company, you've lost the business because they're doing, their own solution. Like I said, so you don't have to use the existing one. Also, when you've got large installations and you've got a mixture of infrastructure, if you find that you've got, structured cable in one building, but then you've got outlying buildings that don't, you can then deploy the M500 and give them desk phones rather than having to have, single cell. It's also got a quite a useful use case for home workers. So I was still selling at the beginning of the pandemic and trying to get somebody set up as a home worker, whether it be on a soft phone or God forbid they wanted a desk phone and you had to run a cable throughout their throughout their home. This would fit quite well there, because you can put an M500 in the house. You then not worrying about the cabling, plug that in their office at home, and you're also then not using the Wi-Fi. So when the kids come home from school and start smashing it on the Xbox and bandwidth disappears, it's communicating via DECT. So the only thing that you're having to troubleshoot is their home internet connection. So at least it rules that bit out. For zero touch deployment, again, you can provision the base station, you can provision the handsets, and in theory you can ship them out. They can plug them in, customer can then just push a button on the desk phone and the phone will register to the handset. So the D8 series of handsets have been out since the beginning of the year. You've got the D862, D865, the D862. The D865 has got Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built in. So again, for ease of deployment, where the Wi-Fi is suitable, you can install those on the Wi-Fi. But also, we've got the 862, which comes in a little cheaper. Doesn't have Wi-Fi built in, but you've got a USB on there, so you can plug in that USB Wi-Fi dongles. Shortly, we'll be releasing the 895, which is an 8-inch touchscreen, and then following that, there will be the 892. Both of these will have options for DECT handsets. Sorry, DECT receiver, sorry. So you'll then not have the curly cord on there. But that will then sort of finish off that range for the most part. We'll release a version of the 895 that runs on Android, another one that's got a webcam sort of built into it. The other end of the market, because everybody is price conscious, the D713 and the D140 and 150 are entry level handsets. Anyone that's ever sold SNOM will know that we used to have a handset called the D120. That was a VTech product and it was difficult for us to support. The D140 and the D150 are ours. So we manufacture them with our firmware. Much easier for us to troubleshoot when there are any issues, but it's based on the 7 series, so it will fit in with that range. Of course, you do headsets. The A330 D&M recorded USB. You can have your jack that's available on it as well. Great sound quality, great manufacturing, great price point, which when you're selling in headsets is always key. And then we'll be releasing in the new year the A350M and the A360D. So these will then be Bluetooth. So I got my 350M through last week and had my first few meetings on it, and it sounds great. But it then gives us that cordless option, and it fills out the headset range. DECT, which you all I'm sure you're familiar with, the M900 and the M400, both using the same firmware, but the M400 is a smaller solution that allows you to connect 2 base stations to create a small multi-cell network. The M900, like I said, you can connect thousands of base stations there. just a little bit about the actual handsets themselves. The M19, like I said, is on the end. We then have IP certified handsets. We then have ruggedized. We then have more sort of budget end for people that are more price conscious. And that's me done.